Welcome to What's in the Pot. I'm your host, Sean Grande, and today we are making a Nashville Hot Chicken. But we're not frying this chicken. We're doing a Nashville Hot Baked Chicken. It's your boy, Sean Grande. Welcome to What's in the Pot. Welcome to What's in the Pot. I'm your host, Sean Grande. And so with our chicken, I've cut it into half. I've washed it. I've cleaned it. And we're going to start putting our ingredients because we want to bake this. We don't want to fry it, but we love the taste of Nashville Hot Chicken. So I'm just trying to do a healthy take on it. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. You can reduce the amount of salt if you like. It's really up to you. And you can use any kind of salt, table salt. I like using sea salt. I'm using 1 teaspoon of this Badia Complete seasoning. It's a nice seasoning. It's got a little bit of onion flavor, a little bit of that garlic flavor, a little bit of herbs. It gives a nice complete seasoning flavor. I'm also adding 1 packet of this Badia Tropical Sazon seasoning. Now, Tropical Sazon seasoning is really delicious when you add in meats or stews. I've been using this one a lot lately. So one thing that you definitely want to try, and I'm definitely adding a dash of lemon pepper. The lemon pepper just offsets the heat a little bit, but not too much. And what we want to do is we want to make sure we season that bird. We want to season the chicken completely. We want to make sure we get all that dry rub into each and every crevice of the chicken because we want to make sure that flavor soaks into the chicken. Now, another thing you may want to do is you can leave this aside, put it in the fridge, or you can bake it right away. It's really up to you on how quickly you want to cook it. Obviously, the longer you leave it, the better it's going to taste. I got my oven set to 375 degrees. I'm just going to put a little bit of this olive oil spray onto the parchment paper, and we're going to rest the chicken on parchment paper. It's just a little bit easier cleanup. And once we do that, we're going to go ahead and cover it with foil, and we're going to bake the chicken at 375 for about 35 minutes, and then we're going to take the foil off and continue cooking the chicken. So for our Nashville hot oil, these are the ingredients I'm going to be using. First, I'm going to start with about 3/4 teaspoon of hot paprika, a nice smoky flavor. I got some chili, and I got 1 teaspoon of cayenne powder. Now, if you want a little bit spicy, you can use a little bit more cayenne, but I'm going to change it up a bit. And I have 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. The reason I'm using brown sugar is I want something to stick to the chicken. Generally, when you do the hot chicken and it's fried chicken, the chicken, once you put that hot oil, it sticks to the fried skin. When it's baked, the skin is not exactly the same. Now I'm adding 1/4 cup of oil. I'm also going to be adding a little bit more oil later on. I just want to get the oil in. Now when you're normally making Nashville hot chicken, you use the hot oil that you fry from the chicken. But what we're going to do is we're using just regular oil because we're baking this chicken. And one of my final ingredients I'm going to add is this habanero Trinidad lime scorpion pepper sauce. This stuff is amazing. I'm adding a teaspoon, almost a full teaspoon. I don't want it too hot because obviously you have all the other spices that it's going to make it hot, but I'm adding about a teaspoon, and we're going to add that in there and give that a good mix. So once we start mixing it, we're noticing that the sugar is getting the hot oil really thick. So what we want to do is we want to add a little bit more oil. You can really add as much as you want, but we want to get that consistency that we can baste it on the chicken. So I'm adding a little bit more oil. I'm just using regular canola oil. And then once we add it, we're just going to mix it, and you'll notice it gets a little bit more loose. Now you can see here the consistency is a little more loose. That's what we want. So after 35 minutes, I'm going to take the foil paper off, and we're going to bake the chicken at 400. So change your temperature to 400 degrees, and we're going to bake that for another 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, I'm going to start basting the chicken. Now I'm going to start basting with our hot oil, and you just want to make sure you get all the pieces of the chicken on the top coated. After we finish basting, what we're going to do is then we're going to put it back in the oven at 400 degrees for another 10 minutes. So you just want to give it a good base, give it a good coating, make sure you get all that flavor. You can see the sugar is a little bit chunky, but it's going to melt, and it's going to be nice and flavorful within that chicken. So give it a good base and then put it back in the oven for 10 minutes. Now this is our final product. There you can see the chicken. There's some little burnt ends. That's the caramelization of the sugar. I wanted something to stick onto it, similar to like a fried chicken skin. So that's why I added the sugar to it. And as typically when you make Nashville hot chicken, as soon as it comes out of the fryer, you're gonna baste it with that hot oil. So as soon as this comes out of the oven, we're basting with that hot oil. Now we kind of gave it a double treatment where we basted some on and then we basted it right at the end. You can see there, it looks absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely delicious and spicy. Thank you very much for tuning into What's in the Pot. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.